Ko te wakatū whenua, te moi kakara, tainui me te aroa nā waka, ko te manuka o Hoturoa, te moana, ko maunga whau, maunga keke, mātuku tūrea, mā hanihani me pukitapu nā maunga, ko te wai ohua te iwi, ko Ngāti Te Ata te hapu, ko tāhuna te marae, ko Kaol tuku whānau, ko Tommy de Silva hau. At the moment, we're standing on one of the maunga of my iwi maunga whau. I was on the general roll from when I first signed up at 18, and then in 2019, I got a little pamphlet which was the Māori electoral roll letter. And at the time, I didn't really understand what it meant. I've always, even though with my Pākehā complexion, I've always felt strongly as a Māori, both a Māori and a Pākehā, to be completely honest. And when I got this letter, I didn't understand it, and so I didn't really give it too much thought. But when the law changed, allowing Māori to more easily change between both roles, I took that opportunity to change for the first time. Since I left high school in 2018, I've been on a journey of rediscovering my whakapapa Māori, working in Māori spaces, living with Māori from Te Tai Rāwhiti, which is always a good time. And as well as that, sort of reconnecting with my iwi. It was a bit of a journey to come to that point, but I guess that feeling of not feeling Māori enough, I always went to mainstream Pākehā schools as well. We didn't learn anything about the people that lived here or my ancestors here. And yeah, I guess being in those sort of schools, I never had the opportunity to learn te reo Māori as well. These days, that's not the perspective that I have. I understand that we're all the same, Māori are Māori, and there's no, as I said, blood level or anything like that that can tell you whether or not you're Māori enough, but it was definitely a journey to come to that conclusion. A lot of the time, Māori don't question whether or not you're Māori. A lot of the time it's the Pākehā that can sort of look at you and say, why are you explaining that you're Māori? Why are you trying to say these things even though you've got a Pākehā complexion and you look like me? So I guess for some people that do look like me, that's definitely a barrier. Now that I'm signed up to the Māori roll, I'm in the electorate of Tāmaki Makaurau. Whereas if I was to stay on the general roll, at the moment where I'm living, I would be in the Epsom electorate. And the Epsom electorate is a very safe seat for David Seymour, to say the least. But in the Auckland Māori electorate, Tāmaki Makaurau, which Minister Peni Henare is the MP for, it's a lot more of a competitive electorate for me personally. So last election, he bet John Tamahere for Te Pati Māori by only 900 votes, I believe. So for me, it's an opportunity to, I guess, have my vote count more. I think the ultimate decision of people who have the opportunity to choose between the Māori and the general roles, you need to have that sort of retrospective look into yourself and talk with close people around you and figure out what role is best for you and what might suit you.
Kia ora tātou, ko Te Rata hau no Ngāti Whātua, no Ngāpuhi, no Ngai Tai, Ngāti Maru. So I'm of Ngāti Whātua, Ngāpuhi, Ngai Tai and Ngāti Maru descent, living here in the Auckland region. My name is Te Rata. I've been on the Māori roll since about 2006. I grew up Māori in kohanga reo, in Māori settings, kōrero Māori and all of that. And it felt natural, someone that's linked to Hauraki, Waikato and Te Tai Tokera. I was just like, it was just natural for me to be on the Māori roll. So this electoral option, for everyone that went on to the Māori roll, so about 5,000 or so, there was just as many people that came on to the general from Māori, and I'm one of those. I'm getting older now, and I'm broadening my horizons, and 15 years in the Māori electorates, the Māori seats, like the kaupapa is very focused on kaupapa Māori and kaupapa Māori people, Māori issues. And I'm not just Māori, and I don't just live in a region, right? That's the biggest thing about Māori seats, is they cover these big, massive areas. To be honest, I feel connected to my neighborhood. I feel connected to the streets that I walk around, the places that I work, to those whānaus in my neighborhood and in my local area. Yes, I am he uri no Te Tai Tokera, he uri no Hauraki Waikato, but I'm Beach Haven. I'm Birkdale. I'm broadly the North Shore, but Beach Haven, Birkdale. So there isn't an MP for Beach Haven, Birkdale. There's an MP for Northcote, which is still more of our own area, our own hood, our own neighborhood. And the same thing for our whānau. They're not Tāmaki Makaurau whānui, they live in Manurewa, they live in Clendon, same kind of thing. and it's much easier to access Manurewa MP. So not the parties, but who we can vote for is a lot more limited compared to the general. So on the general roll, all parties stand candidates. On the Māori roll, not as much. And so we don't have as wider a choice. And see, e Māori tātou, e kore noho mātou ia mātou kia mātou nahe nahe. We're Māori, we don't just live in Māori things. We suffer the same health stuff as everybody else. We go to the same schools as everybody else. What electoral role that I'm on didn't change my Māori blood, didn't change my Māori genealogy, didn't change my Māori language, didn't change my Māori family. None of that changed. What's changed is my ability to choose more widely who I can potentially vote for. The biggest, most important thing for me is that people engage the Māori electoral option. Vote, choose. Are you going to stay on the Māori roll? Are you going to go to the general? Are you going to stay on the general, go to whatever, but please do it and please vote. That's the most important thing. Ko tō reo, ko tō pōti, ko tō pōti, ko tō reo. Your voice, your vote, your vote, your voice.